Now going into Southpaw, I really didn't have that many expectations really. I mean, he got like a 50-something% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it was just like a boxing film with Jake Gyllenhaal in, so I was like, let's see how it goes. So how did it go, I hear you ask? Pretty well actually, because I did enjoy Southpaw. First of all, Jake Gyllenhaal. Oh my god, this dude can commit to a role. He was amazing in Southpaw, he really was. I mean, you really, really feel sorry for this guy, and you just feel the loss in him when the whole tragedy happens to him, and it is really rough to watch, but he does an incredible job in this film. He bulked up as well, and Jake Gyllenhaal, he's awesome. Forrest Whitaker was really good as the trainer, and he had one emotional scene as well, which were pretty good. And yeah, he was a pretty good trainer guy, but he's just like, he didn't really stand out. He's just like a standard boxer trainer, but I'll get more to that stuff later on. But Forrest Whitaker, he was good. Rachel McAdams, in the brief time she has in this film, she was pretty good as well. 50 Cent was in this film, and he was actually quite good in this film as well. I mean, he plays like the kind of manager to all the fighters, and he did a good job too. But finally, big props to the little girl in this film. She was pretty awesome as well. She was quite adorable, and yeah, I mean, she was really good. Now, Southpaw is a boxing film, but it's not really a film about boxing per se. I mean, it's more about Jake Gyllenhaal's character. It more focuses on him after the whole tragedy, and it focuses how he's trying to deal with the whole situation, all the loss and all the bad negative stuff that's happening in his life, and it's focusing on how he's trying to overcome his own personal demons and all that stuff. And I know that sounds really cliched, and it pretty much is, but it's all about the execution, and the execution was pretty good in this film. I mean, there was some scenes in Southpaw where the dialogue was going on and it was some really dramatic stuff, and I'm not gonna lie, I did tear up a little bit sometimes. There were quite a few parts where something's said to someone or something's happening between two characters, and I was just like, that's rough. That is really rough to watch, and because of the performances, it makes it feel so much real, and that's the big praise I gotta give, is that the emotional stuff does actually hit in this film, and yeah, it's rough. Now, the problem Southpaw has is not really the problem with the film, it's more to do with the actual genre of it, of the boxing film in general. And me personally, I'm not really the biggest boxing film kind of guy. It's just like, you can't really do anything new in boxing films anymore. Well, I guess you could, but it's just, Hollywood doesn't do anything new in boxing films anymore. And that's what I want to say about the boxing in this film. The boxing matches were actually really well done. I like the choreography, and I like all the like flashing lights and all that stuff. It was really good stuff, but it wasn't groundbreaking. It wasn't wow, because I've seen boxing matches before in lots of other films. But just to reiterate, they weren't boring, they were entertaining to watch, especially the final boxing match, which I won't spoil anything for you obviously, but it's just like, it's a boxing match, and I've seen it a few times in films, even in Grudge Match, but let's not mention Grudge Match. But yeah, it's not anything new, and it just doesn't particularly break any new ground. But I'm not going to hold that against the film too much. It's just an unfortunate aspect. I just got to mention it. So Southpaw, it was a good film. It was anchored by Jake Gyllenhaal and everyone else's performances. The drama was really good, and it did hit quite a few times. But yeah, the film, it just broke down by the fact that it's a boxing film, and there's nothing new you can really do in boxing films. Plus, it is a little bit predictable, but it's not like unbearably predictable where you're like, oh, I know exactly how this is going to happen, that's going to happen, that's going to happen. Because you sit there, you're like, yeah, you know what's going to happen, but you sit back and roll with it, if you know what I mean. But that's what I did in this film anyway. But I need to reiterate, Southpaw is a good film. It is really good. It's worth watching. So did you see Southpaw today or this weekend? Whenever you get a chance to see Southpaw, tell me in the comments what you thought about it. And if you like this stuff, be sure to subscribe, because I got stuff coming to you guys all the time.